Jallow. He is a member of the National Social Protection Secretariat. And on my immediate right, we have Mr. Malan Jao, who is also from the same secretariat. And last but not the least is Mr. Ibrahim Jai, a colleague of ours who is from the Information Department. Welcome, gentlemen, to the program.
Thank you. Okay.
It is unfortunate we don't have a lady here, but we will do our best to include them in the discussion. I don't know why we decided to do it this way, but we will try to. It's always good to have women in the discussion. They are certainly an important and integral part of what we are going to talk about here, because they are the ones who are mostly taking care of our families back home. So the discussion is about the national protection policy, which is running, as I said earlier, from 2015 to 2025. In case you are not aware, there is already a registry where families and members of the communities can go and register. But I don't want to lead that discussion. I will let themselves speak for themselves in this area. Let me start with you, Mr. Jao. Tell us why this is important and why we're having this discussion.
Thank you so much. Like you said, my name is Malang Jao. Mm-hmm. I am the Communications Officer at the National Social Protection Secretariat. The Secretariat is located under the Office of the Vice President. Mm-hmm. We are charged with the responsibility of coordinating all social protection interventions in the Gambia. And part of our work is to build what we call a social registry. It is very important. This discussion is very important today. We try to choose it wisely because currently we are beginning to start data collection within the Combo districts. Okay. And that is the 4 Combo districts. So this is why we want to bring the discussion on the social registry now. On the policy, we have already done that discussion. Mm-hmm. That was our first program that we did with QTV. And the second program was the M&E. And now we want to specifically talk about the social registry.
Okay.
Yes.
And this is going to begin within the Combo St. Mary area, or are you going to extend it to the West Coast region as a start?
All right. Okay. Thank you. The building of the registry started since 2020. Mm-hmm. We are able to cover the Eastern West Coast, that is the Foni areas, and all the other provincial regions, that is LRR, CRR, URR, and then NBR. So now we are entering Combo. Okay. Now we're starting with the 4 Combo districts. Mm-hmm. That is Combo East,
South,
Combo South, mm-hmm. Combo Central, and Combo North. Mm-hmm. These are the 4 districts that we are touching now. And after that, then we have also plans of expanding it, moving to KM and Banjul, okay. whereby we will be able to have a comprehensive coverage of the entire population in the Gambia.
The policy runs from 2015 to 2025. I'm just a little bit concerned about the timing here. If you are able, will be able to do everything that you need to do before 2025. But let's save that discussion for now. Let's talk to Mr. Jao, Jallow here. When you talk about social protection for Gambians, what are we talking about? Why is this important for the general public?
Thank you very much for that question. My name is Hassan Jallow, and I work as the database administrator of the social registry data mm-hmm. At the National Social Protection Secretariat. Your question is very important because when it comes to social protection, when you look at the definition, it tells you about the supports that government brings together, that is mm-hmm. the policies and programs that supports the citizenry in order to help them in case of shocks or to get them out of poverty. Mm-hmm. So it's very important that we have this social protection now in Gambia, and it's also important that we have some of these mechanisms to ensure that there is an effective and a comprehensive social protection in the Gambia. Some of those things we have is the social registry, which we are here to talk about. So maybe I can give a background of mm-hmm. the social registry
sure.
and all that.
Go ahead, yeah.
So in 2016, when the government of the Gambia adopted the policy, the National Social Protection Policy. The policy was accompanied by an implementation plan. Mm-hmm. So part of this implementation plan was the development of a social registry that will serve as a gateway for inclusion into social protection program, mm-hmm. but also an information system that will keep track of beneficiaries who benefited from what and what benefit somebody benefits from. Mm-hmm. So the social registry, in simple terms, we are saying, is just a system that supports the registration, the intake, the identification, and the identification of potential beneficiaries to one or more social protection programs. So in nutshell, we are saying is the social registry is just a database that have information on citizens. And this information can be used by government to reach out to do targeting. When there is a support, you can just come to the social registry and get data about the targets, whatever program you want to implement. You can always come to the social registry and then do your targeting, and we will get you that data.
Okay, this discussion will very soon shift into the local language. Before then, let me get Mr. Jai here, who is a colleague of ours from the Department of Information. I guess, I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, the importance of information sharing, that is why your office is involved in this, am I right?
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Ibrahim Anjay, Deputy Director at the Department of Information Services. Our role in this program is to implement a public information campaign to enlighten citizens and the population about the social registry. Of course, information sharing, as you mentioned, is a very critical pillar in any development or any endeavor. That is why, as a department and a ministry, we have been called to sensitize the population about the social registry. As Malang explained, the public information campaign in the 4 combos is ongoing. We have to enlighten these people about the importance of the social registry, as well as encourage them to register. You may be aware that under the circumstance now, there is what I will describe as fatigue on part of the population as to responding to interviews or surveys. Many people have gone to the field to collect data for their various use. But sometimes the population, they are not aware why is this data being collected. So that fatigue has set in most of the communities. This is why it is important to have a robust public information campaign to encourage the population to register their households through an enumeration exercise that will be conducted by GBOS.
Okay, before we go into the local language, now I know this is a live discussion on QTV.
Yeah.
Do you have other plans to reach the communities that you are targeting through other means, through other platforms?
Of course, we have, as you know, this is, we use multiple channels to reach our audience because we have multiple audience. We have targeted them and we are using different means. We will be using the television in the near future. At the moment, we are using interpersonal communication. Because yes, other channels of communication in terms of sharing information are very effective, but interpersonal communication, where possible, is more effective because this gives your audience the opportunity to interact directly with you, ask questions, you know, whereas in other channels of communication, this might be lacking. Though they might have the widest coverage, but then this interpersonal coming in touch is not possible.
Okay.
So we are going to use, or we've used in the past, almost all possible within our limits, all possible forms of communication channels to reach our audience. Yeah.
Mbokk ñoo seetaan ñu ngi leen di bisimilah ci QTV di leen bisimilah si waxtaan bi nga xam ne ñu ngi koo am ak waa National Social Protection Secretariat ñaar ñi nekk suma caamoñ ak suma ndeyjoor ñi Mala Njaaw ak Assane Diallo ñoo jógee ci secrétariat bi suma naataango mi Ibrahima Ndiaye moom moo jógee ci Department of Information ñu ngi fi tey lu ñoo waxtaanee mooy naka la ñoo aaree suñ mbokk yi ñu nga xam ne ñu ngi si réew mi fii surtout ñu nga xam ne dañ néew doole suñ ko waxtaanee nag ñu bari néew nañ doole waaye dañ tane wante foog naa ci suma gis-gis waaye léegi man duma sori si waxtaan boobu noonu dama bëgg a bàyyi Mr Diaw moom mu waxtaan ak askan wi suñu wax social protection ñan lañ ci waxtaan.
social protection bàyyit kenn gannaaw. soo ne social protection ñëpp nga bugg a am. parce que suñ ne dañoo dimbale ñu niw doole. tey mun naa am man am naa doole. waaye ëllëg mun naa am ma niw doole. so moo tax pour am ñëpp dafa important. suñ target bi mooy pour am nit ñi yëpp si registry bi. registry bi comme Assane nu mu ko waxee si angale mooy bunta boo xam ne dañoo denc xibaar askan bi yëpp. muy doomi réew muy keneen waaye comme ça yaa ngi dëkk si biir réew bi waaw bugga nañ nga bokk si registry bi. so presently nii fuñ toll nii commencé nañ data collection bi si biir combo bi. data collection bi jibos ñoo ko def public information
campaign ñan ngay wax
mooy the Bureau of Statistics ñoom ñoo dee
Gambia Bureau of Statistics
ñoo dee compter nit ñi
waaw
ñoom ñoo amee responsibility boobu noonu because ñun gis nañ ne ñoom ñoo amee xam-xam pour mun a def liggéey boobu noonu soo ne public information campaign boobu Department of Information Service ñoo ko amee parce que ñoom tamit ñoo am xam-xam bi yàgga nañ di ko def te yaakaar nañ ne suñ lañu ko joxee dinañ ko def bu baax te defoon nañ ko gis nañ ko mooy wax naa la ne defoon nañ data collection bi si yeneen tunday jógee ko Fooñ dem noonu ba Basse jógee ko ñoomi delluwaat noonu ba Wulli cover nañ area boobu noonu yëpp so léegi ñu ngee dugga Kombo presently fuñ toll na ni ñu ngi Kombo East ñu ngi Kombo South ñu ngi Kombo Central ñu ngi Kombo North nit ñi ñu ngi list jibos ñu ngi list ñoom njaay ñu ngi waxal ak nit ñi lan mooy njëriñ ñi registration bi ñun ñëpp nañ fexe ñu register suñ bopp foofu noonu waaw
xanaa kon ma bàyyi Mr Ndiaye yow nga dimbale ñu foofu noonu comme que yéenaay dem di waxtaan nit ñi pour ñu xam njëriñ bi nekk ci lii waaw léegi comme que dugga ngeen Kombo balaa ngeen a ñëw suñ ne Kombo xam nga dafa yaatu KM si la bokk waaye nekk fu mu nekk ni yéen a ngi West Coast fu mu nekk ni duggaangu leen KM dama bëgg nga waxtaan ak waa ñu nekk su ma mbokkee nekk Sukuta Gunjur Katong ak ñu mel noonu njëriñ bi nekk ci lii
ok abaraka bake nte se kaca mbadi manika kan moylal mandingol ani manika kan moylal pour wol sa kalamta min be keri safero min be keri wolen senkir saferoti bawo mala ya fo nyami jang surwa kangoto man sakunda be kibari mangasino le dada kan ba fasarla wolen database comme computer silo social registry nyin kibari mangasino munebe kelaje wolen fangol la kibaro sinkilol ra kibaro wo safero le binakela min be tambila safero nyato wolem jibos komi mala ya fo nyami
andu ni ko jibos wala Gambia Bureau of
Statistics wolem multimi yanko ya londo soto ya fero soto ka mol konti kata ka fanan ka safero sifa mi yalanko mol sola tara pour sama sinin na nyato ta Gambia banko kanjang jibos le kake yo ntolla office o mimu Department of Information Service ntolla do ko minti nyin ko ne wolen ka mol kala mutandi ko safer lalle kana akum safero nyin nakumaya nka wala fo mole mo be sakata ye safe mo kana balan to nya saferol me takila nyin bankun kan wati safero be kila aya sabu fam mo dol bije sani e pasitale ni tata je sa fo ko mbatata safero la waran wati nka safero kele mbuga fenje andum wa donc hakili bunandi ko amanke ko wati to nya safero ka kele bari fanan nafa kanale mi yalon ko safar lalte murlanan kote kana fale ko nene nga safaro min kedan wala na famu yinti mba wala ni yirwa do ko sijan wala na fintita man sakunda kon se finti nga mol wakilindi nga mol kalamutandi bawo ni ajibe social registry kule mi an ko kukuto le nyimban kon kan wala asabo tonya safaro meta kala bari pour kam mol wulindi wala futa mol la ila dinkralto ke kacandi ke wakilindi ñinem a floti
ngamira ya fu ñamen kacha kumaya ta je bake katum ni ko social registry amu kuleti mobi jamabe sonna ko kukutolo Gambia jang kadu safaro ka kele nunto bara safaro ka dandula kelenne par ñimbe ñamen sayen momo ye fan safeje jandin sanji tanni lulu ni man sakunda sulata momo la be tundu tundi kan de marola karola mba wala kukota na karola e se ñim tano ñim buku batole kajube mo nankam la be lakari e sulata mo manko er sifa la silolo mba domoro mba wala offensifa kodi
ha social registry kule mi yalan ko nafa mota banna folo programme clinto ibe karakli ne fono la dron folo bawo asania fojam ni yajibe social registry bi momo solata ka yirwa do ko samba Gambia banko kan tunda ite lafta demaro min sifa kel ni tata social registry ikoy konte misal fe ni lafta ka molle makoy mi lan ko ila ma fangola tumando jiko kolyata je ni tata social registry tumando isa kibaro dila katabake anim fana ni ma sibol boyta waran kolya kol boyta man sakunda ni demar mundar ilafta ka demaro ke isaje ko ni tata social registry kamol je ani kamol sute tariyake o bese soni social registry ko be soni ni ko mu social registry dola le mi yalan ko kibaro be laari nyame ko kiwar sifa abe man sakunda ni momo kafro mol min kala fika demaro ke mbak kafol min kala fika demaro ke ayela dépense o talale ba o sa ni telefon mona dron ni tata social registry je konkon dron isa bondi ya kibaro dila isaje fanan abe tankaro kila ku la kilo demaro be yetaje bawo tuma do ninte tata lafta ka wullin kol mako example o kama ntata je nga ci waro nyini kay ki waro dina ntata wuli nga demaro ke je be demaro la wo demar sifa klingo ko te tumando jawo fana afana lafta kala o klingo na tata je ayo yitandi la isa fona ite mi tata
so njaay bulle
njaabe jema mo
sa ite se mako no blado
ise blado jibe no ise blali tandala isaje ate kala ka kol 50 la kling mo jama blado bi jama soto do be je ima soto hadi walam coordination ni bala coordination be tarlaji hadi
Assane ñu ñëw ci yow dégg nga ñaari ñu lu ñu wax teddu te yow yaa ngi ci secrétariat bi waaye sa liggéey dafa dem pour fu ñu dee denc ak xibaar bi naka lañ koo dencee foofu ba dara du ko jot ma bugg a ñaari yi lu ñu wax nga gën koo dëgëral lu tax lii am solo.
Okay, thank you very much. The social registry, I will speak in English, so maybe my uncles are good in local language, so they would.
You want to speak in Fula?
No, no worries. So the social registry does not only stop at keeping citizens' information, but it helps to categorize them into 3 categories. That is the poor, the extreme poor, the poor, and then the non-poor. So when you look at the data that we collect about about people, like the social registry, now it cuts across all section of a household. We ask about household demographic, their agricultural status, their employment status, their health status, and even how they respond to shock. So any information that you need that is about households, when you come to us, we are able to give you. But as they mentioned right now, we only cover 36 out of the 42 districts in the Gambia. But then the 4 districts in Combos is going on. That is the Combo East, the Combo South, the Combo Central, and the Combo North. The Combo North.
Have you ever, during this process, have you ever come across people who would want to say you are invading my privacy with the type of questions you are asking me? Have you ever come across anybody or any household like that?
The data collection is done by GBOS. We do not collect the data.
Okay, but they've not expressed those concerns to you as a secretariat?
Yeah, anytime you're dealing with personal data, these are some of the issues that will come up.
Yeah.
You cannot avoid some of these issues. But by explaining to them, and then the peak team that is from Doisy, explain to the people the reason why we need to have this and the importance this will have, people usually, even if you have that complaint, people usually understand and they are willing to give that information.
I asked that question because like he was saying, you normally run into difficulties with people saying we are tired of, giving our information and we are not seeing anything, for example, in terms of benefits. Probably that's the reason why they are not, but probably they have another reason, and that is invasion of privacy. I think from experience, a lot of people do make the complaint.
Yeah, I think it's a process. The data collection is not just one day you get up and go and start collecting data. It's a process. And in that, we have the peak going first, sensitize the people. Why are we collecting the data?
Okay.
If GBOS come, first they have to read you a consent form.
Okay.
That is, we want to collect your data, and it is for A and B. Do you agree? If you don't agree, nobody forces you to
register.
Nobody.
But then you suffer.
Not
well, not suffer. I don't want to use that word. But that could deny you future assistance that may be coming from government.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, we do explain to you what the registry is about. And for privacy is a high priority for the Secretariat and for government. There are whole laws surrounding the data we are collecting on how we are to use it, on how we are to keep it, and even how we are to share it with partners.
Okay.
So every data that we receive is safe.
Okay.
And we normally tell the households that the data you are giving us is safe, and we promise that we are going to keep it safe, and if there is anything, then we are culpable for it.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Jai, you want to come in here?
Yes,
because this is very important.
Yes,
I think we have to translate this into local language. But first, I want to get your reaction to what
Yes. Actually, in any human endeavor, you are bound to face challenges here and there. And that is why communication comes in. And that is why the PIC is there for the social registry. Of course, communities, you will have one out of a lot, sometimes here and there, isolated situations or cases that will express concern about their security of data, some suspicion, a whole host of things. Most of these things are as a result of certain concepts and beliefs they have.
Okay.
But with the PIC, we are able to convince the greatest majority of the population to accept the data collection exercise because it is in their own good. And I can tell you that we have almost 90% acceptance or even more. Okay. Maybe Jibos will be in a better position to tell you the percentage.
I know
from our interaction, at least we are doing a great job. And then the people are responding well.
The two communities in Sukuta and Gunjur, they will give you a tough time, just because I know those people. But you...
well, that's a good tip-off. We will prepare for them.
Prepare for them?
We will prepare for them.
Yeah.
We will always do our best to engage them.
Okay.
You see, sometimes resistance comes in because of ignorance.
Right, right.
And for us, as a team, which he belongs to, the Public Information Campaign, we have people who have a wealth of experience in trying to explain to people why it is important for them to register on the social registry.
I mentioned the two of them because I have a special relationship with them, so I know how they are.
Yes,
but
we will do our best.
Mr. Diaw.
Okay, thank you. Jarama. Ko min kalta ko ɗo woni affaire social registry. Minen gimmori place pite ɗo National Social Protection Secretariat. Ko ɓen woni marɓe ɓe ko wiyete ko social registry. Social registry noon sa nani ɗum ko damal moftirgal kibar. O jaman joni masiŋal ɗi kibar kala mo min ɓangi min mofta ɗum nder to. Ko hoɗum woni nafaka mum ka si tawi hande laamu heɓi ballal walla goɗɗo heɓi ballal wi ko yimɓe faala wallu kala façon neɗɗo mo faala wallu si ari he dow amen minen ɗum mbawi okko kibar o tana yaawi te kibar o tango feewi o ya okkira ballal ngal tana yaawi ko ɗum woni nafaka social registry.
Ko hombo e hombo wonta toon?
Ko bindi ɗi tawon ko min bindat katane woɓɓe mbiya hirande he nder hirande ɗum woni kala neɗɗo mo ganduɗa mbo he less maɗa ko an woni okkiro dépense kala ko ñaamo he less on dépense ko ɓen woni e less maɗa nden a yiyat leydi ndi fof a woni ɓiɗɗo leydi walla a wona ɓiɗɗo leydi kono anas moƴƴas ana e nder leydi he ano bokke e foɗɓe he winde bindi ɗi noon comme no min kalirini he angale waɗama he leyɗele sefuji ko yata 36 minen faala ɓeydu min ara e leyɗele nayyi wonɗe ɗe mbo West Coast
ko on to on ɗon joni
eyyi ɗon min woni joni si Allah walli min si yawtoyi min arat Kanifing he Banjul a yiyat min wawa heb Gambia foof he nder registry a yiyat kala ɗo neɗɗo faala wallu si a ari rek a heɓat kibar yimɓe o ɗon ko ɗum woni nafaka social registry ka.
Okay, let me bring you here, Mr. Jallow, since you are as good in the local languages as I am. So let's go with the English. Now, people that are targeted in this registry are mostly heads of, I would assume, are mostly heads of household. Now, when you go to a particular household, how do you ensure that every individual in that household ready to give the information that are required? I know it is not you who is doing it directly, but when you process the data, what information are you actually looking at?
Thank you very much. Just as I mentioned, the questions or information we collect about household cuts across a lot of things. When GBOS goes to a household, there's a questionnaire that they administer to the household. So a household is registered, the household head is registered, and have everybody that is under that household. So if this data is collected, it comes to the secretariat, and when it comes to the secretariat, we store it in a database. So people or programs that are implementing social protection program will come to us with their criteria. We do not set criteria, but they will come up with their criteria. criteria. So we'll look at this criteria and run it against the data that we have in the social registry. So we are able to give them their request. But everybody is covered as far as you're in a household, and as far as you agreed to continue with the interview for your information to be collected, you are registered.
And is it only, most people would think, I wouldn't need help from government, so I'm not going to bother to register my family or myself with the social registry. Is that something that people need to be aware of, that it's not only for poor people?
Yes. Okay, you are coming?
Yes. So the social registry is not only for the poor or the extreme poor. Even if you are not poor, but still it's important to have you in the social registry, because we do not only use the social registry to help programs to go and implement their social protection program, but also in terms of SOCs. Let's say when flood happens, flood doesn't know whether you're rich or you're poor. It can affect your compound one way or the other.
Exactly.
So we are able to know that this person is living at this place and is affected by flood. For example, when the Fonyi crisis happened, we worked with NDMA to give them the people that lives in Fonyi.
What do you talk? When you say Fonyi crisis, what are you talking about exactly?
That was the crisis that happens there between the Senegalese rebel and the Senegalese and the rebels.
Okay.
So we were able to give them a list of people that lives in Fonyi. So usually I would believe that when crisis happen or shock happen, what NDMA would do first is to see who lives here. But then with the social registry, we will give you the data. You already know who lives here.
Right.
So the only thing NDMA would start from is who is affected.
Right.
You already know how many people live here.
Yeah.
So the only thing you need to do is who is affected.
Yeah.
So it has made that that response very easy and then very fast.
Yeah.
So it helps government to rapidly respond to shock wherever.
I asked that question because a lot of people might say, I don't want to register with this, is normally for poor people. But no, it couldn't be only for poor people. I remember when the pandemic hit, in the United States, for example, a lot of people benefited from government intervention because when the pandemic hit, it didn't know whether you are poor, you are middle class, or you are rich. If it hits, it hits. A lot of people were forced to stay at home, and their incomes were reduced to almost less than half. So they need the intervention of government. And if you have not been registered in the social data, for example, like this one that you guys are conducting, you will be left out. And when you are left out, you don't have anybody to blame but yourself.
Yeah, that is very right.
Yeah.
Like he was explaining, you see, no situation is permanent. No condition is permanent. You can be a very rich person today, but within a twinkle of an eye, you can become poor. You can become vulnerable. There are certain shocks that no matter how rich you are, you cannot handle it. You will need intervention, you will need support. And once you have refused to be registered on the social registry, that means your identification and targeting might be difficult. So that is why for us we try to encourage everybody, no matter your economic status. You know, economic status is something that fluctuates.
Yeah, it's not
today. You can be very poor. Maybe in the next few years, you are affluent.
Correct.
You can be rich because of situation. You can be poor.
Correct.
So having yourself in the social registry will not cost you anything. It's only there to help you in the future when the need arises. And I can tell you, the need will always arise. So that is why for us, we'll try to encourage communities to register.
Now for nimbandiga kaola because comme kamen fonon tuwab kaola mo jama ni ko ngagnin safere sifake mo la miro ka ke moneti nyemu pour mo le te men yalon ko e ko me e bulo me ko ben wala mo le me yalon ko be sula la man sakundala de marola do sa fanje kon te man sula man sakundala de marola woto nta man tan fambula la nyun kono wo mu kessa keno mistake bati mo la karola ko di njaay
womu toñaleti bawo hanin to la kacal ko nini molbe kacala in ka futa la do nka mo sifal jele kilin kilon bari kaca ko non kay mi tandi mo la wolen ko mo la komi ila conditiono ase chino wat ase falino wati wati bi ise keno fankama bati bari kuseke alandaro se boy mi ya lonko itila ilo fankama ya bi ase tinyano wati dun kono ise ke moti mi ya lonko ibe solara de malo bari ni ata wati mina komi saferobe kering ite balanta ko ite man sola fenna san ma sibo nata boy waran tinyar ba nata ke ilana flo tinyata ifoire yata wati kilin kono ma koyro pour ka futema abe kolyala le mune ba kolen la bawo itete safere mbuku ba nyinto nyim social registry iman taraje ibaje la pour keteje pour ka ma koyro futandima abe kolyala wala nan ka mol waklindi nyina ko momo sakata e safe hana ta tele mu Bill Gates American ko law na fultiba hana ta tini wo kayente na folola isa kata e safe bawo safe ro fongi mam mo chachi ni safe ta amanko ko be fenne jola pour safe safe la albina la foya ye si ye safe asoniata andu
imanta pass jola kata la be tolle bina ye taraji
itolle bina Allah saate olto ye dungal la kordal kono ye sina le kacha ye safe roke oto kule mi anko ngamira mo be nyanta wakilale kake bawo is free ite fenjola kuna hadi
wa Mr. Jao walla be pula
yes do mi ya he pula mi fala halan comme sebebe manke ni safeta fana démarre le kana betar laje
okay yeah
manke automatique
sulo le batin ne yebe démarre soto ni atara ni ste sulo soto adum démarre fana be masa kundabul
ni démarre nata am manke ko because i safetale i nyenna soto la hani démarre nyin kana mo sifale ni ite manta wol kono ase keno ite ta
soto la ha
so
bar wo nyaaw manyanne
balla ka safero because ite fanan ila site senano le
wato
so abetata le pour mol ya kalam taw nyaam comme doya fojang ko mol kana safero mol be safe kanne bir muntuma man fenje nyindo amanke ko ninge safe
ibe fenne so
nati wo nyanna
senala that side yes
musit be am fulbe comme kono min kalitani dum woni bindidi sibe ari be windat gimbe kala gondo he les modon ballal si ari ballal ko aranda neddo sifa kala neddo mo ganduda ko on ballangal arani o hebatana yaawi ko hodum taki ha registry o mbo moƴƴi ɗum woni si tawi han hunde heɓima comme exemple mo jonnirɗa oɗo covid 19 probléme heɓino e leydi he laamu ɗum sah anda ko hono ɓe wallirta yimɓeɓe par ce que ɓe ngala kibaru yimɓe o foof ɗum okkuno ɗumen tampere yo koɓe soodi kone ɓe addi woɓɓe heeɓi woɓɓe heɓani hoɗum waɗi ɗum ko par ce que kibar laaɓɗo wonno a heɓaki yo ɗum foof si tawi o registri mo wodno yanno o probléme foof heɓotano ko laamu ɗum ko ñande wotere ɓe andanno ko jeeluɓe foti sood te kala foɗɗo oke o okketeno ko foti ko hepta tampere ala hen a yiyat si tawi programme ne ari o heeɓi janggo na wawi si o ari o wi ko okkat o wi ala oɗo heɓano kadi gokken oɗone yo a yiyetta affaire o foof ne yaari he sembo woɓɓe caloto waɗe registre registration o wona forcé kono minen toro yimɓe ɓe fof no ɓe mbakkilo ɓe mbaɗe registre par ce que han a wiyat ok mino dañi min mi sohlani ballal kono janggo na wawi sohla ballal par ce que o okkiri exemple si tawi han Allah dandu en jaygol ari galle ma he ko hemnuɗa ko fof no wawi majju ma ala ɗi flotji baɗoji ɗi si heeɓima galle ma ɗo ko hebnoɗa ko fof no wawi yakko yo ɗum no tawatta on time ana sohli ballal yo ko ɗum taki ha enen ñaago yimɓeɓe fof wonɓe e nder kombo si windoɓe ari ɓe kokka ɗumen waktu ɓe joɗoɗa e mumen ɓe wawa windu kibaruji mumen ɗi tana yaawi tana feewi komin toroto yimɓeɓe paama rek wona wondema simin windima hande janggo ballal ala comme no joolaɓe mijortani si ballal ari ano foti heɓ a heɓat siko goɗɗo foti heɓ on heɓa yimɓeɓe paama ɗon
okay Mr. Jallow, let's talk about the administration of the data that GBIOS will collect, and that's the Gambia Bureau for Statistics. When this data is collected, is it stored in a centralized place, or do you have it stored at regional levels? For example, data you collect in West Coast, is it stored in a database only for West Coast, or you have it centralized all in one place?
Thank you. We are developing the social registry. It's not yet 100% completed, but we are almost done with the development. We will soon have the training, and then we will start using the data, the social registry. But that does not stop us from processing requests and still storing this information. So the information, when collected by GBOS, they have their own databases. They keep it there. They also send us the information we need, and then we keep it at the secretariat. So once the social registry is done, the information system development is done, this data is going to be migrated into one system. So once this is migrated into one system, there is nothing like having to store West Coast data separately. Everything is on one system, and this system is being accessed by anybody that is giving the authority to access the system.
I wonder if you guys are experiencing any kind of challenge when it comes to storing data. We all know the challenges we have in the country. Challenges like electricity. You might be storing a particular data, and all of a sudden electricity is out. That would make you lose a particular information. Or the internet service provider is having an issue. Are you putting all these things into consideration, and are you making any kind of plans to make sure the data is protected?
Yeah, exactly. So we are very much working to make sure that this data is well protected, and to also make sure that this data is always available to all the people that are rightful to have access to this data. So about electricity and then internet, since this data is going to be stored in a database system or in a server that is sitting somewhere, the issue of electricity and internet is just access, but then to say the data will be lost or something,
it won't be affected.
It won't be affected.
Okay.
And even though the Gambia does not have an information, the Data Protection Act, but we still subscribe to the General Data Protection Regulation. That is the wall that many countries are subscribing to. And part of this is that part of the regulations is that minimum security needs to be put in place to ensure that data is protected, and also data usage, it should be used for the purpose it is being collected for. So we are ensuring that all this is in place to make sure there is no data leakage, there is no data loss or something that affects our work or the data.
Yeah. So let's talk generally about the need to register for this, and the name social protection. We know from recent data from World Bank and other stakeholders that more than half of the population of the country are considered poor right now. So social protection, it is very important that we have something that is like this, to have people registered. And it differs from one region to the other across the country. But we are considered a poor country for a reason. Even rich countries have things like this. So my question is, for the people that would be affected by mostly what is, God forbid, what is supposed to come in terms of being affected seriously by poverty, how soon, if you know, how soon is government ready to respond to their help or to their needs?
Okay, thank you so much. The Secretariat is kind of a coordinating body.
And this is under the Office of the Vice President.
It is not an implementing body. We have 1,001 institutions that are giving supports. Like, for example, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare. Like, you know about the NAFA program, NANA and her partners. You have the international development partners. They are all giving support. Now, what our work is supposed to do is to make sure that we look into all what they do and make sure that the targeted beneficiaries of those programs are the rightful ones. Like, for example, if NAFA is targeting extreme poor, then we make sure we give them the data for extreme poor. And then after giving them the data, while they are issuing their support, we also go back and make a monitoring exercise to check as per the data we gave them and the work that they are doing. If there is any variation, then we will sit with them to make sure it is corrected. government, yes, is very willing to give support because that is their core mandate, to give support to all citizens, especially the poor and vulnerable. And not only government, but including development partners. That is not hidden.
Absolutely.
But now, what is the problem was the coordination of these supports. And that is why the secretariat was established. And then that is what brought about the social registry. And that is what brought about the M&E. So therefore, if all these systems are up and running, we will be able to see the quality of the social protection interventions in the country. Because they are numerous, but we cannot see them because they are disjointed, they are not coordinated, there are overlapping, you know, and a lot of issues, yes.
Mr. Jai, Akamemfo is so important, but you want to respond first in English?
Yeah, it's just an addition to what he is saying. You see, as a government, and we are all living business to that, government is doing a lot in terms of supporting extreme poor and also supporting people during difficult times in shocks. Of course, we can recall during the rainy season, various government departments, agencies were busy supporting people who were in one way or the other affected by different forms of shocks. The international partners, as well as even philanthropists. So having the social registry would make that work much, much easier. Yes, so this is what I can say as far as government is concerned.
Yeah, nkamen fo na kamen kachadum to abakaunto wolom itollalam bunda ka meyalon ko itolle nying kadama dingol bema itolle be marare nga kew mumo bela banko kan barni ajube tuman banko be tembo mento e ko mol meyalon ko ese ko mandino ko e bol bulo me koben wol tata men tambita ni sid ni Gambia mo kemelati men tambita mo tallulo wol be mo molati menala e se kumanno ko foiro le modi woto wol mo molati men be sulata de malo fo wonte so bar ni ko wol sulata de malo ni ajibe fana banko fana ka nyo danne dem ko fisiata nyotle demande so fo fere soto me alon ko men sulata ma ko rela ka tambi tambita nyola nyame nyanta futale ma nyaadile o mo kulte me alon ka nyanta kumala ko
ha komi mala ya fo nyamin dron komi ka programme klindi komi so ke exemple odi wolem nafa programme odi bawo nafa programme o abe molle mako kamila lon ko e foire ata bak ila foire ale tambita doltati ha so yo kibaru bonde mun tole pour ka foto molma itata o kibarol ta social registry le wolem asan nyola office mala nyola office pour ko kibar si fa so itata wolto nafa programme mi alon ko abe molma ko kam ko iblo moy ko ben Gambia banko kanjang ibe mako resoto kam alon ko alhamdulillah abe la situation on aba fishandi kam bake bari pour ko kibaro soto fo sta social registry ni tata woto isaje wol sila masingol tamandi ya ni atamandi isaje ko nyille molti mi anko safero ya itani ko nyil wolle molti mi anko ila foiria sembo warta tunnoto bawo to nya na foiria man kanya hade do fang se do konti ko amu artificial bar ni ani dol kuntaki o foiria so ni ajibe asan la office social registry be dami o kanyin do ko sonen le pour ka mol soute katabak mi la lon ko ila foiria sembo warta pour que mako imagine nafa programme bi abe dimbaya jamal mako kanyin Gambia banko kanja asekeno sama sini fanan bar ko min nka senande ko amanke ko ni safeta wati programme nat ite nyanta sodlal hani ni te benta programme mi alon ite la condition benta nyim programme la hamen ko to pour que dema ibe wala ko bal pour programme ka mol suute ke je tariake iso keno nyaade fo eta social registry wala asan la officioti national social protection secretariat bawo social registry abi woleto ni tata dro ite lafta mun na ya foe ibaje tolbe la masingol tamandilal ni ya tamandi ite solata muna isaje iso be kere ya cika ya dila ite stay be law mako romba be law do ko kera ise wuli fana yana jibe fo e kibaro min tanto la jam iba tamandi kan ni komi iya fo nyami hadi
Mr. Diallo bala ma ñew si Diallo ma buga rek nga bamtuwaat li ci lak wolof lu joge wax moy xam nga yeen sen office bi yena amé danaka yenaay boppa bi ñepp lu ñu xamné dañ soxla ndimbal wala ñuy joxe ndimbal si yeen lañu wara jaar pour ñu mëna xam dëgg ñan ñoo soxla ndimbal bi loolu la bëgg pour nga gëna léral pour nit ñi xam yeen sen liggéey bi naka la amé solo
jërëjëf dafa melni ñun sàmm lañ su nekkee
xam nga pol bu dégg
nga olof ñun dañoo sàmm amuñ ndimbal bu ñoo joxee waaye ñi nga xamante ne am nañ ndimbal su nekkee social registry bi dem na ba pare fu mu toll ne sax nit ñi ñu ngee ñëw wala bànqaas yi ñu ngee ñëw pour won ñu ne ñoom façon nit ñi lañ bëgg a dimbale ñu jox leen kibaar boobu noonu suñ la joxee kibaar bi mooy na si ñun nga jaar pour nga mën a xam ñan ñoo ñàkk su nekkee ñu ñàkk ngaa dimbale su nekkee béykat yi ngaa dimbale soo ñëwee like roots ñëwoon nañ si ñun ñu ne dañ bëgg a jàppale béykat ñi nga xamante ne female headed household la
roots ñoo ñu ngi nekk ci Ministry of Agriculture
exactly buñ ñëwee jox leen kibaar dem nañ ñoom tam ñu joxe seen dimbal bi gaaw na because dangaa toog rek nit ñi àgga si yow ñu ne la ne yow da nga war a am dimbal façon nangam nga am boobu noonu dem su nekkee affaire yi jàngala soo ñëwee tamit am nañ questionnaire bu mel noonu mun nañ koo siif ñu jox la yow sa target group bi so at the end of the day ñëpp ñi nga xamante ne ñu ngi jël ndimbal si ñun dangaa gis ne ndimbal boobu noonu is going to the right people mu ngi dem si nit ñi nga xamante ne ñoo ko yelloo emut foofu noonu tamit dafa indi ne soo amee ndimbal beneen ndimbal bu mel ni boobu noonu dina dem si keneen ki nga xamante ne mu ngi sa boor te moom tamit yelloo na ko so dangaa gis ne kenn nit rek du nekk di am fekk keneen mu ngi toog amul dara te yéen yëpp daanaka seen situation bi moo
nekk benn waaw
so su kii amee wala tund bi am na beneen tund tamit am dangaa gis ne loolu dafa yombal affaire bi te dangaa gis ne dëkk bi tamit ñàkk ñi tamit dina leen jàppale waaw lii mooy liggéey bi secrétariat bi di def registry bi si onda ñun la nekk waaye tamit am nañ emani système bu nga xamante ne boobu lañ amee full team la ñoom tamit dañoo dem di round di seet ñi nga xamante ne ñoo joxe ndimbal ñu jàppalante ak ñoom ba affaire bi baax
waxtaan bi mu ngi ne waaye nag toujours rek lii moo dee nekk problème waxtu bi foog mu jàmbuñu rek waaye waxtaan bi dëgg-dëgg am na solo te foog naa lii dafa war a nekk loo xam ne dafa war a continuer waaye nag Mr. Jallow we are about to end this discussion. Before we do, I just want to ask you if you have any information that you want to share with the general public, because this is an important matter for the general public to know.
Thank you. So this social registry is for everyone. It's a national database. So we urge everyone to get registered. Whenever the enumerators come to your house, please allow them to register you to be part of the social registry. Also, the social registry data is here for any institution or government institute that is implementing a social protection program. And even if you've already started implementing, you can still use the social registry data to verify your beneficiaries or to reassess your beneficiaries, or even to graduate some and bring some new. Yes.
All right, Mr. Jai, your last words, if you have any.
Ntepe min fola walen kombe molbe danila sakoto milbe kombo walen kombo north, kombo south, kombo east, ani kombo central. Ko safero fela bina kela te mela bake. Du karembe mobe danla isa kata ye safe yela dimbal be safe ni social register ba kula mi anka kuma yata bake. Hade walen tila kuma lamuti.
Wala me pula.
Minen jogi damal witengal grievance redress mechanism si tawi a wawani wat register ano wawi wat call number o 1229 ko free sa waɗi ɗum call a heɓat secrétariat o kala ko woni complain ma o minen hen wawi darano enen ɗum mbawi haal e jolfede ñogi ame grievance redress mechanism moy bunta bu nga xamantene dana jël seen complaint yi seen métit yi su nekkee ñuy register ñëw leen sa site mënuñ laa gis wala mënuloo déggoo ak ñoom yow koolal number boobu noonu ñun dinañ waxtaan ak gars yi waaw 1229 soo ko koolee
1229. Thank you so much, Mr. Jawo, Mr. Jallow, and Mr. Njai for joining us today for this great discussion. And thank you guys for watching. We thank you so much for watching. I am Suleiman Dabo, and have a good weekend.
Thank you so much.